Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up South Florida. Miami's gay scene continues to shrink as 2 more queer clubs announced their closing. Miami's queer nightlife took another hit as 2 beloved LGBTQ venues announced their closures. Willie's Neighborhood Bar and Gramps, both in Wynwood. Willie's, which first opened in April of 2024, shut its doors on Saturday, August 23rd. In an Instagram post, the bar stated, quote, "While the landscape around us is being reshaped, one thing that will never change is the community we've built together," end quote. Though plagued by earlier closures and reopenings, Willie's had become a cherished space for Miami's queer community. Known for flamboyant-themed parties, from Night of 1,000 Madonnas to RuPaul Drag Race Watch Nights, it even won Best Gay Bar in the Miami New Times 2025 Best of Miami issue. Meanwhile, Gramps, a Wynwood institution for 13 years, also announced its end. Owner Adam Gerstein recently posted, quote, "We're leaving on our terms. It's our choice. The time to leave Wynwood has come," end quote. Gramps is more than a bar. It is home to karaoke, drag shows, live bands, and its legendary Rosemary's Baby cocktail. Social media responses to this closure showed a lot of grief. One commenter declared, quote, "The last piece of what made Wynwood special is gone." Another simply wrote, "Rest in peace to Wynwood," end quote. Gramps will remain open until the end of 2025, closing officially in 2026. For Miami's LGBTQ community, the double loss underscored the shrinking number of queer spaces, a trend worsened by soaring rents, an unfavorable political environment, and redevelopment pressures. You know, as my day job, I'm a research director for Restaurant Workers' Rights Group, so I can talk about restaurants all day. And, you know, some people will always ask when you hear a restaurant closing, well, do you think it's this factor or that? And I want to remind people that Florida specifically has had a very good restaurant scene since the pandemic. It's bounced back better than almost any. We actually have 30,000 more jobs than right before the pandemic for the industry here. But at the same time, like, they are getting really hit by a lack of tourists, and like, I cannot overemphasize, the rent is really gonna be killing some restaurants right now.
It's heightened now because of, you know, all the political climate and stuff that we're going through. And, you know, and it's so important now to have these spaces available because, you know, we need community and we need spaces where we can be artistic and, you know, and sing and have fun and be with our friends. And these are historic bars within the Miami area. So, you know, it really is sad to have that.
I mean, Gramps has been an institution for a long time. I mean, I remember when I was a middle-aged gay, not the, you know, retirement gay that I am now. That I used to go
So yesterday.
So I used to go to Wynwood, and, you know, back when Wynwood was just a collection of old warehouses dressed up as art galleries.
Wow.
The gentrification process was massively accelerating the growth. I mean, even compared to when Alex and I went to Wynwood, I think last year,
For my birthday, last July.
And even then, I see all the classic boutiques and places where they offer unique handmade goods were converted all to T-shirt shops and souvenirs. I mean, the steps were very gradual, but it's all there. First, it started with, it was a dangerous neighborhood at night, but you can go for the art galleries during the day. And then safety improved. People are moving in, and then you have the shops and the restaurants, and people are starting to venture out there at night, and, you know, chic nightclubs started to open. And then they started tearing down all the warehouses, which the landlord already owns. The developers just waiting for the area to become hip so they can build things. And now almost all of them have been built, and the galleries have long fled the scene. There hasn't been a big gallery thing in Wynwood for a long time, and every weekend it's just packed with kids just trying to find a party. I'm sorry, Wynwood has been dead. In Wynwood, I'll call it, Wynwood has been dead since before the pandemic. But I am sad, but also the fact that I feel like Miami in particular is rewinding the clock on progressivism. I think Miami over time has become less and less gay friendly. It was paradise back in the day when, like, Miami was home to Versace and models and, you know, all those fun things.
Right.
And then gentrification happened to South Beach, and now mainland Miami as well. And just like before, when we were all fled to Fort Lauderdale, now the remnants of it is just basically shutting down and moving away, especially given the current climate where Miami is becoming more and more conservative thanks to certain other factors too.
I do think it's more than political climate. Like, I'm not shocked that, like, I don't know the story with Gramps, but when I hear a restaurant say they're leaving, but they're not closing for X amount of time, it sounds to me like maybe the landlord had a rent negotiation and the business owner was like, this doesn't make sense to me. Why would I stay here and pay that price?
I know the site of Grams. It is ripe for converting. I mean, look at every building around it. It's already now bright, shiny, and new. They're selling like $250,000 condos for like a studio.
Yeah, and this is why it's really important that we're supporting our local businesses. And that's why, if you're in that area or if you're sad that, there's a business that's not doing well, we need to like step up and, go into the bars or go into these shops because that's why they're there. I mean, you're seeing it even here in Broward County too. Wilton Drive is very lucrative with all of the restaurants and shops. But as we know, 1 year they open up and another year they close. And you have to go in and you have to experience it.
That's also a normal part of many restaurant owners' strategies. Sometimes they'll own more than one restaurant and they'll have a few. And like what's fashionable this week, they'll do it for a year or two. Then they're like, all right, well, I can use my liquor license, perhaps, depending on the state, move it down the street, call it something new. And that's great, and a lot of the people will move around with that.
More about the mom and pop businesses as like, the first ones that are getting up, and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there are some people that are in that for that money.
As someone who deals with a lot of restaurants, you'll be surprised by how many people that give off that mom and pop that own, I'm not saying they own 20, I'm saying they own like between 3 to 6 restaurants. But the other thing I see with all this, like when we were talking about like supporting stuff, that's great, but like the Eagle here, they wanted to change their patio in Wilton Manors. And the landlord said, sure, but I want to triple your rent. And he said, never mind. Doesn't matter how much you and I want to support that. We could spend a ton of money to justify the cost of a triple rent. I don't know, maybe you want to spend 10 grand a month at Eagle, but I don't think most people can afford that. Like there's only so much we can do. It's really what are these landlords doing for our community?
The reservations. I mean, what they're renovating in their stuff in the space because they have a very big open space in the back. So I don't know what the 10,000.
I know
quite a lot.
I think part of it is because also that Florida is so poorly regulated, especially like you can have real estate to sit empty for years, decades at the and you can do nothing about it. And there should be rules that says that if your property is vacant for X amount of time, that you need to put in a tenant.
There are municipalities, I don't think it's in Florida, they are looking into if you let a commercial space sit fallow for too long that you'll start getting fined because when you allow spaces to be empty, it does create a whole host of issues.
It's a cascading event. It's a cascading effect because when one big box becomes vacant, all the other smaller stores leave, and then you have dead strip malls. That's how dead strip malls happen. But I was going to say that in my experience during the pandemic as an Uber driver, and a lot of people who come to LGBT people who come flying to Miami, they're all excited to see the gay scene, except that they get very disappointed when
it's flown into FLL, not Miami.
So just a public service announcement, if you want a vibrant LGBTQ scene, don't go to Wynwood. There's Wilton Manors, there's Fort Lauderdale. Come here, patronize our local establishment. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And to once again quote a commentator, rest in peace, Wynwood. And that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing to and sharing Queer News Tonight.